what are your top 10 episodes of your show right now? And I ask that because it's good to go back and check. There's a lot of information you can take from your top 10 episodes. What's working? What's not? Are there any trends? There's a million things that you can learn from this information and apply to your show going forward. So what we're going to do today is look at the top 10 episodes of this show. So everything from the 31 episodes. Is that right? 31 that we've published?
Around there, yeah.
So let's say 31. We're going to look at the top 10 that we have currently, talk about some of the things that we've learned from our show, and by doing that, also give you some tips and information and things that you can apply to your show. So I'm Vince Quinn, your executive producer, here to help your business grow through podcasting, and joining us to do that, as always, my executive producer, we will say, for this show, your executive producer, everybody's super executive producer, Taylor Cradatis. Hi, Taylor.
Hi. It's been, 7 months, 8 months this show's existed?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of crazy.
Yeah, we've been doing this now since October. Unintentionally, we released the show on my birthday, is what happened.
Was it? Oh, yeah, end of September, yeah.
Episode 1 came out on my birthday, which is fitting in a lot of ways. But yeah, the show is new, relatively speaking. So we've been doing this for 7 months. And some important background here before we get into the numbers, just to give you a little bit of context of where we're at with this show and why we're just looking at the numbers now. It's because, when we started the show, we didn't care what the numbers were. So let's be real about that. I want to be as transparent as possible. When we started this podcast to grow our business, we did not care about the actual downloads on this podcast. Didn't matter, because the whole idea was we wanted to get as many views as possible and build our awareness up on social media. That was the first thing that we wanted to do. We wanted to build relationships with people who could be potential clients. That was the second thing, and that's all we focused on to start. And we have an episode about that. You can go back and check it out. It's a recent episode, and it's in our top 10. So there's something you can look back on. I believe we've been podcasting for 6 months, and here's what the numbers said, something to that effect. So you can go check that out for the full context, but that's the overview. So now here we are. This is our first time looking at what our actual numbers are for our top 10 episodes and trying to figure out a little bit, again, what's working, what's not, and what we can take into this going forward. So first thing that I noticed going through our top 10 episodes, only 3 of them are guests. So we have 10 episodes total in the top 10, obviously. We've had 7 guests on the show. 3 of them are guest-focused, guest interviews, and they're not in the top 5. So, how much do guests matter?
It's case by case because, some shows live and die by guests where it's just one solo person. It's all relative, but I guess in the grand scheme of things, if you're doing it for your business, probably not that much. You want to get a good testimonial out of somebody, but you're talking about what you're doing every day, so probably not that much.
But Taylor, these guests will promote my show.
Will they?
And that's exactly it. So I don't think they do. And when they do, we don't see a major bump. The only and the numbers tell us that. So that's a theory that we've had. That's what we've seen from everybody that we've talked to, professionals, other professionals in the space that seeing their content and as they're posting thought leadership stuff, they all say the same thing. Guests aren't going to bring you the audience. And what we're seeing from these episodes is that's really the truth. So everything to this point tends to track that way. They're good episodes.
Sure.
Right? They're not bad episodes. I walked away from some of those feeling really great about them. But, yeah, the truth of the matter is when you're looking at guests and the importance of it, I think this is about an appropriate number as well. When I'm thinking about the top 10, 3 sounds right. I think I wouldn't expect it to be most of our feed. Obviously, we've never looked at this, so we had no benchmark.
Yeah, it wouldn't be majority, but yeah.
Yeah, you would think, because initially we started this, and let's be real, with no audience. We're a small company. Our social media presence before the show was basically non-existent. This was our social media presence. So we were essentially starting at the ground floor with this show. So you think, Well, if we're getting guests on and they have an audience in these early episodes, they're going to be all of the dominant episodes. And yeah, that's not the case. So seeing that these three, that's how that all turned out. They, three of them made the top 10. Not surprising to me. I think an appropriate number and something that, think about the expectations going forward. Yeah, I really believe this is about as high as it's ever going to be.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's some kind of, I don't know, big get, quote unquote, but even then, like, anybody that's quote unquote, big time or whatever, that somebody's got an assistant, that somebody's got them booking them on shows, so they don't even know like where that show is going to be or like where it's going to be posted, when it's going to be posted. So even if you do get that big get per se, like they have no idea when you're actually going to post it. They won't see it on any of their notifications. Like it doesn't really matter to them.
Yeah, they have no idea. And that makes sense. Just for us, too, there gets to a complicated point where when you guest on all these shows, you don't choose when they go out.
No.
So just yesterday, I had two different shows that I've been a guest on, and they posted on the same day, and they both want me to promote. And so they both tagged us on a story on Instagram, and I just said, you know what, fine, let me just throw it up in the story, who cares? And I had two back-to-back stories for us that were me as a guest on two different episodes, which is like, whatever.
Yeah, not the best timing, but yeah.
No. So, yeah, all of those kinds of things, my initial reaction was, I don't even want to promote. And
see, how's it feel from the other side?
yeah, I really want to dig into that later. Not on this episode, but another day.
Sure.
I really want to get deep into that because that is a very real feeling of mine. So we'll get there. But yeah, for now, I think a lot of people feel that. They don't promote as much as they want, yada, yada, yada. So 3 guest episodes out of 10. Again, we had 7 guests total on the show, and we had no audience whatsoever. So this seems to point to the idea, again, that guests don't drive numbers the way that you think they would. So we always recommend personal shows like This Is Us. We run the business. We're doing this together. We've done a bunch of solo episodes before that. And as much as we're planning guests coming up, because I was going through my guest list on Podmatch. That's where I do a lot of this right now. And I've got like 7 people lined up. So there are plenty of other guests that we will have along the way. I'm not telling you don't have guests, but we're going to be very specific about the kind of people that we bring on. And that strategy is changing.
Yeah, like let's say you have an idea or concept for an episode. You bring on somebody that complements that. It's not, okay, I'm going to bring this person in and base whatever they do on the episode. It's like, no, I have this idea already, and they match what that idea is.
Yeah, so I have somebody I'm talking to. They're not on the show yet. We haven't agreed to anything officially yet, but I would love to talk about turning a podcast into a book. I know that's a thing that people do. I think it's a brilliant thing, and I would love to know more about it. It's a good strategy to have in your back pocket, and it's just good business. So there's a woman out there that reached out to us who does that for a living, and I think that's fascinating, but I'm not the expert in that case. So to have a guest that I can talk to about that, I think people want to hear that, and so we're trying to get her on the show. But that's where the guest strategy is going. It's like these very specific things where a business can grow through podcasting. And so who are people that can help that conversation? Whereas before, all of our guests were business owners with podcasts. So that was really the number one requirement. So just so you know, as you're listening to this and evaluating, hey, Vince, this is all great. How does this help me? Well, yeah, evaluate your guest strategy as well. This was a part of it. We wanted to see how guests impacted the show and how those episodes turned out. We've had conversations behind the scenes about how did these episodes go? What is the vision for this show? How do we incorporate these people? Is this the right way? And so we've now gotten to a point where we said having guests is important. We still want to have them as a part of the show, but we know strategically it's not how we're growing our audience. So what makes our guest conversations on this show for this audience as valuable as possible? And we'll see where the numbers trend now that we've also got a new approach to guesting. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how that goes, how much better those episodes do. So we'll see. But that's enough for guests. I feel like we've covered plenty of ground there. So 3 guest episodes in the top 10. Now, this is something that makes a lot of sense, and I think it's the core of podcasting in this lane where you're growing your business through a podcast. A lot of our top 10 episodes are core issues that business owners have. And what I mean by that is one of the episodes are technically it's tied for first is how to create content without burning out. So,
yeah, everybody needs help with that for sure.
right? It's a big thing because everybody is producing this stuff and like, all right, well, we record on Tuesday and then we're going to edit it all through Tuesday and then we're going to get it up to be out first thing Wednesday morning. And so we're going to do the show, record it, edit it, get the clips, schedule the post, schedule the show. And we're going to do all of that in this burst of time because everything is going to work out perfectly every single week. We'll never have calls. We'll never get sick. Our kids won't get sick. Our dog won't get sick. There's not going to be a horrific storm that I don't know, holidays. Like there's just all this different shit that can throw you off. And so people are always slammed with production. That's felt like a real problem, talking to people, different coaching clients and things like that. And clearly that hits. So that's a huge thing. And it's good to know that. And this is why it's so important to go through this data, right? It's verifying that this feeling is something that definitely resonates with our audience, is the struggle to maintain making content consistently and not stressing out about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the number one thing that we hear from other people in real life, let alone, what people want to hear.
Yeah, so we're going to have to look at this as a bigger talking point. And we haven't really talked about that yet. So that's something we'll have to develop. We'll have to figure that out of what that looks like and what are some of the things coming up that we can discuss to really shed more light on this and things that we do to help people out. But knowing that this episode did so well right out of the gate, because it's really our second most recent episode, and it's already tied for number one. So it's doing very well relative to everything else. It's just outperforming everything. So that's a huge one. Another one that obviously for business owners making content, an episode about time management. People wanted, that was the top 10 episode. Of course it is. How to manage time during a podcast. So that did well. LinkedIn, the struggles of LinkedIn.
Everybody hates LinkedIn, right?
Everybody hates LinkedIn.
But they're all on there.
Yep, and that's the problem. So we're all there. LinkedIn sucks. How do you make the most of it? We did an episode about that because I just frankly got very pissed off one day, and I was like, I'm so goddamn annoyed at LinkedIn, and I posted about it, and it did well. So I was like, oh, people seem to resonate with that as a post. Let me do it as an episode. And now that we've done it as an episode, it seems to reinforce that, yes, people absolutely hate LinkedIn, and using content on LinkedIn is something that we should continue to talk about. So that's a good piece of information for us.
That's also a good mechanism, like whatever post you do on, whatever platform, you get a really good response. If you can repurpose that into an episode, obviously there's some chemistry there.
Yeah, it's reading the room, right? It's listening to people. And that's the overall philosophy of what we're doing here. We're going through these top 10 episodes because we want to see what the audience is telling us they like. That's the whole goal. What do they like? What are people telling us by hitting play and listening to that episode versus all the other things in the feed, or whether they hit play at all? The idea that they do it, what does that tell us? What can we learn? How can we grow from that and give people more of what they're looking for? Because these are things that we do. Helping with production is absolutely part of what we do. We can talk about a million different things in podcasting, but if this is one of the main issues where it's time management, it's making the most of LinkedIn, it's not being burned out trying to make all of this content and stay on top of it, then great. We can talk about those things all day. So it's just knowing that and giving you more of it. And you should be doing the same thing with your show as you evaluate your top 10 is, what's doing well? What are those pain points? And how can you do more of that and see where it goes? Because we'll do this again. We will do this kind of episode again. We'll do it many times because it's important to do. So that's another thing. But all of this stuff, those episodes did well. And another one that did well is guest adjacent, which is stop asking guests about their background. Taylor, you're laughing there.
What do you mean? I don't make a whole episode about a person that my audience doesn't know anything about. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Let me tell you the life story of a stranger. Imagine Imagine if you opened episodes literally that way. Let me tell you the life story of a stranger. Let's sit down for a minute. I'm going to tell you where the stranger was born. I'm going to tell you how they grew up. I'm going to tell you what schools this stranger went to and their early internship days and how they got started. And like, who cares? So don't do that. I hate that people do that. And clearly, I think this was an episode where sometimes content is built to make people have a gut check. And
Interesting.
that's why so much language, and we've done this ourselves to some degree, as much as I don't like it, I know that it works, is stop doing this thing. And that's why people do it, because it's, oh, I'm doing that thing. And to instill fear in somebody is a tactic that people use.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So that's what that is. And I think when we do an episode that's, hey, stop asking guests about their background, people go, oh, shit, I've been asking guests about their background and I'm making a huge mistake. So that sense of fear of I'm messing up, of my stuff isn't great, that causes people to push play. And I don't like that psychological button, but I believe it in this instance that you should absolutely stop doing that. I wholeheartedly believe it, and if that's what it takes to get your attention, then so be it. But
Yeah,
you will be
don't-
better off.
You don't want to attack people's insecurities and inner thoughts.
Yeah, you don't want to do it with everything. I think it's
No.
got to be things that you passionately believe. But the language a lot of times is manipulative,
Absolutely, yeah.
and at some level, it's also watered down because everybody does it. I see it everywhere. All these posts, if you go through your feed in a given day, the number of things where people are saying, stop doing this thing. It really happened over the last maybe 2 years, I'd say, but it is everywhere. It's everywhere.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Monkey see, monkey do, and it works. It's our third best episode out of all 10, or out of the 31. It's number 3. So it hit people in the feels. It's an important tactical thing because a lot of people do it. They're asking guests about their background, so we hit on something there, and they want to improve their show. So it's a good lesson, but that's the thing. We're not necessarily hitting on a core problem there in terms of people feel that problem, but in this case, we've hit on a core issue in terms of everybody does this thing, and we have the answer to it. So I think that's valuable. And what I would say for you as you're listening, and again, evaluating your show as well, that's the whole point of this too, is we want to make sure that you're getting answers to improve your show. Well, look at things like that, because a lot of times when people make content, they fall into this trap of what is everybody talking about? And you feel like you're going to add your piece to that conversation. But the biggest value you have is talking about something completely different most of the time.
Yeah, make the new conversation, make the new lane. Like, don't jump on an already crowded pile of people.
Yeah, drive people to you because you have opinions, and the fact that you're talking about something that other people aren't talking about makes you interesting and unique. And people don't talk about this enough, of guests and interviewing strangers about their background is not useful. It's not helpful. So we were able to hit on that point because it's an opinion that we have as experts in this field. We did a whole episode explaining the argument, and it did well. So there's something to be said for that. And you need to think about that as well. What are some of the opinions that you have about what you do and how you help people that people don't talk about, they don't appreciate enough, and make your content around that and see where it goes. Does it hit the top 10? So figure that out. Or does it have a great launch? Because for us, top 10 is valuable now too. And I'll say this as an important caveat because we're a brand new show. We've only been doing this for 7 months or so. So it's not like we have this deep catalog where we've been doing this for years and we have certain hit episodes that have gone off for 1,000 downloads and 5,000 downloads and things that have accumulated over time to get high numbers. So the things that we drop right now, the ability, it's a wide open field. So it's easy to do the top 10. It might be eventually that we're looking at things where what had the best opening week.
Sure, yeah.
So maybe the way that we'll look at this information a little bit could change. But for now, early stage, for the foreseeable future, top 10 is where it's at. But being able to understand that and look at this data and process it, like that's the goal. So go back, give strong opinions and see how those things resonate with people. Talk about what is personally important to you. That's a huge thing. I talk about it all the time. And the fact that everybody talking to their guests about their background did well seems to reinforce that fact that it's a good idea.
And it kind of goes back to the time management part. Like, you really need to set aside time to figure out what those opinions are, what those topics are, and not just relying on somebody being a guest on your show, because that's just easy mode, really,
Yeah.
to be honest.
It is. So it makes you better as a business person. That's what I love about all of this is as we're talking about things on the show, the points that we're giving and the lessons that we want to explain to people and the strategies that we're trying, it makes us better at the job. And so to be able to refine our message and think about the products that we offer and the ways that we can help people and grow as business people within
Proof of
this
concept.
space, yeah,
Also, yeah.
gives us everything. So it's really nice to be able to have this show as a way to say, how are we as business people? How do we get better? And how are people responding to that? So that's what this has been about, and that's why we're bearing everything in this episode. It's very matter of fact, like these are our best episodes. So last thing that I want to, there's two things I'll say that I want to get to here. But one, you know what our number one episode is right now?
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Oh, baby. It is our number one episode. 31 episodes in, our trailer.
That's not what I was expecting.
Our trailer is number one after 31 episodes, which, yeah. How does that make you feel, Taylor, hearing that our trailer is number one?
I mean, it kind of makes sense because, we're making the biggest stink about, hey, here's this brand new thing. We're going to be promoting it. So, I mean, by far the most we've promoted any of those things that are on the top 10. So,
Yeah.
it does make sense at the end of the day.
And from that release standpoint, too, just to dive a little deeper on the promotional element of getting that out. Before we launched the show, we had the trailer. We pushed the trailer for a little bit, and then we did the show. So, yeah, to have that window up front, that's definitely part of this. I don't know what those numbers were when we immediately released the trailer of how many people downloaded. It wasn't many at all. It could have literally been 6, 8.
Yeah.
So, which we expected. But now to see that it's our number one episode still after all this time, that's fascinating. And it shows the value of the trailer because that's how people make a decision sometimes. You're trying to welcome people into the show, and they want to believe that this is the right thing for them. Everybody's skeptical, and I think they should be. They look at your logo, they look at the name, they look at the description, and before they jump in on an episode that might be 25 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever, they want to know that it's a good commitment for them. And an easy way to do that is a trailer. So let me listen to this. Let me see if this really reinforces. Do I like the sound that they have? Is the energy right? Does it feel like they're covering topics that I really care about? Or is the messaging totally different in the trailer than it is in the description? Because that happens. And so by giving people that consistent picture, it's going to convince them to hit play. And so I think, I don't know how this is going to play out over the long term. As long as, let's say, does it stay in the top 10 and for how long does it do that?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I don't think it'll actually stay in the top 10 for very long. But the idea that it is there now and it just reinforces that value of giving people the access point, especially early on, make a trailer. Please. Even if you've been doing the show for 3 years now, 10 years, make a trailer because it's an easy access point. People are listening to the show. They've hit play. And if you've done your job well on the trailer, you've given them that opportunity to meet you. They liked it, and now they will hit play on your show. So please.
Make sure you have it uploaded as a trailer. So like within your podcast feeds, software, or user face.
Yeah. So for us, the way we do it, and you will see it. If you go to Apple, Spotify, whatever it is, it's listed as a trailer, and people can go and access that. So it's nice to have something at the top of the page that's 30 seconds to a minute long, and it gives people that overview. So
less than a minute. Definitely keep it less than a minute.
Yeah. So keep it tight, keep it there up top, and you can always update it. So if it turns out after a while the show evolves, which happens a lot, then no problem. But get the trailer that represents the show as it is now, because people are listening to your current episodes. They're the things at the top of the feed. Don't worry about the past. What is the show now? Make a trailer about that. Let people listen to that. And you know what? Promote the hell out of that trailer. Put it on your website if you want. Put it on your socials and let people know, hey, trailer for the show. If you haven't heard it, here it is. We're doing it every week, and let it ride.
Yeah, and don't say real talk.
Yeah.
Like, what are the other big ones?
God. Unfiltered.
Yeah, uncensored.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff stinks.
Yeah.
It's so generic.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And the number of people, side tangent, the number of people that are actually truly unfiltered on a podcast is maybe less than 1%.
Yeah, especially if you're kicking a few back while you're doing podcasts. That's when it will probably happen, but most people don't do that either. So
No, they're raw and unfiltered, but then they're actually never saying what they really believe in any stark terms.
For
and
sure.
It's so disappointing. And so, yeah, don't do that. Unless you are truly somebody that does not care and is willing to stir shit up.
no, just don't do it.
And even, I was going to say, and even then,
No.
odds are people will not
There's
take
no,
you at your word.
There's no caveat there.
It's hard to be found. There's so much stuff with that anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't do that. But make a trailer for sure. So definitely do a trailer for the show. Now, with that, because we've covered a lot of ground talking about guests, talking about core problems, now talking about our trailer, seeing how all those things incorporated into our top 10 ways we can get this information and apply it to our audience. There is a fascinating trend that I did notice in our podcast episodes, Taylor, with our top 10. So, 31 episodes in, as we record this, and the number of episodes that are in our top 10, in terms of release number, episode 26, episode 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31.
So you're saying within the past 2 months?
So 6 of our top 10 episodes have been in the last 2 months, and they're all consecutively there, and they're all pretty much at the top, excluding our trailer.
So, I mean, that's got to be consistency. You know, people don't see a drop off out of nowhere, so that definitely gives people more confidence within the show.
So for you listening and thinking about this again with your show, this stuff piles up over time. You're not looking for a big blow up. You shouldn't expect a big blow up right away. If it comes, great. If you have an episode that goes off, awesome. Good for you.
It won't be sustainable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're talking about making a show and just, is this thing growing or not? And that's the game. So for us, we're seeing growth. And actually, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about that next week. So next week, I want to get a lot deeper, because what we've done so far now is we've covered everything with the show behind the scenes with this experiment, building everything out. We've talked about the full-on strategy in detail for how we put this together. We've talked about our top 10 episodes. We've talked about what it's been like over the first 3 months and how it changed our business to start this show and populate the feed. So we've covered a lot of ground, and we did our social numbers, but we've not really given a deep dive into the downloads themselves. So what we're going to do next episode is we're going to talk about our downloads at this point in the show, what we've learned from those numbers, what the trends look like, and some lessons that you can take away from that. So tune in next week for, all of our downloads for this show as we use this podcast to grow our business. We hope your business has gotten a little stronger from listening to this show today. And if you want help where we can work with you directly on your show, that's easy. freepodcasthelp.com. If you go to freepodcasthelp.com, you'll get 30 minutes with us, full discussion, full strategy session, helping you get on the right track. So go to freepodcasthelp.com. I'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe to the newsletter to get more podcast insights. That link is in the show notes. And if you're feeling stuck with your podcast, let's figure it out together. Book a free 10-minute chat with me. The link to do that is also in the show notes. Talk to you next week.